Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Cheng, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science and spirituality are telling us we are all connected. We are all one. So what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Divine Love with Lou Martin. Lou is a spiritual intuitive and channels his spirit guides and higher self. He has been teaching globally since 2006. Lou lives in Ireland, and that is why today we are actually pre-recording this show because of the time difference. Welcome, Lou, to Awake to Oneness Radio. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. Yeah, glad to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming on to the show. I still appreciate that. I learned of you through a listener. One of my listeners emailed me, and that's how I discovered you. So, wonderful.
Yeah.
Can you share with our listeners, your journey, your path?
Sure. I'm thank you. I'm really honored to be with you, Carolyn, and you have just a beautiful energy and a wonderful intention and focus here with the show. So it's really a great opportunity for me to share what I've been learning with everyone who is on the path, which is so many people in the world these days. Basically, three events happened in my life. I'm 58 right now. Three things happened in my life to get me going on the spiritual path. The first one was at the age of 16 when I was living in Los Angeles. I got invited to meet and meditate with Krishnamurti, who is a world spiritual teacher that a lot of people have heard of and read and studied. And that was an inspiring experience and, in hindsight, a life-changing experience because I'd never met anyone like him before, and the energy that he brought and just spending a few hours with him in the afternoon, that was really, very powerful for me and uplifting. And then at the age of 17, my father was actually murdered by somebody. And so that, I call those the Hamlet years, where I was really searching for the meaning of my life and if there's a life after death, that's there, and all of that. And then when I turned 30, I had what the Hindus call a spontaneous Kundalini Awakening in meditation, where I had this, the energy shoot up my spine and open all my chakras and come out the top of my head. And I had one of those cosmic awakening experiences that profoundly, change your life and affect your understanding of things. So shortly after that, I started to learn about channeling and started to study spirit guide through other channels.
Mm-hmm. Just, I know because we're connecting through the internet, there was a little breakup there. Could you just repeat that last part?
Sure. Sorry.
No, it's not you. It's not you.
Okay.
This happens when we connect through the internet. It's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So at the age of 30, after beginning to meditate seriously for a few months, I had what is called a Kundalini Awakening, which for me was like my spiritual starting gun. It was, it really connected me to know that I'm more than my mind and my body, and that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and that, we have such experiences of love and joy available to us if we open our hearts.
Right,
You know?
right. Very true. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard of Kundalini Awakening, and actually, there's a spiritual book club that I'm a part of that we meet monthly, and we just had our first meeting last month, and this month we have another meeting, and we decided instead of discussing books, we're discussing subjects, and we chose as a subject for our next meeting is Kundalini Awakening. That is that's the subject.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So that is amazing. Can you share more of that experience with us, your Kundalini Awakening?
Sure. Well, it was an amazing story. I mean, it really, in hindsight, it feels faded, like the other things that happened. In some ways, I met a friend, and I was working in a spiritual bookstore, and he was applying for work, and we became friends. And he gave me a crystal, and he said, "There's this thing called Kundalini, and if you meditate, you might activate it and open it inside of you." And literally, that's exactly what happened the first time I tried to do it. So it just feels like, that was kind of the universe giving me a little bit of a hint.
Amazing. So you mean on the first try? That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. Well, it is, I mean, grace is such a beautiful thing to know about, and it comes up on the spiritual journey over and over again. The more we surrender and the more we open our hearts in love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, the more available we become to let life support us. And I know we're living in such a profoundly powerful, emotional and spiritual time of awakening, and if we can find that inspiration, we'll move into grace. Peace opens us up to inspiration. Inspiration often leads us to grace. So it's for me, it's just about sustaining a certain level of openness and vulnerability, and then amazing, magical, miraculous things can happen.
True. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Well, I've shared before with my listeners my awakening, which was really not anything mystical. I mean, I've had many guests on that have, actually, I think all of my guests have had some kind of mystical experience. I don't consider my awakening mystical. It was one sentence. I had been studying off and on metaphysical books since my teens. So I guess that was sometime in the 70s. And then I wasn't understanding. I was intrigued, and it sounded wonderful, but I wasn't connecting the dots. There was a big missing piece for me, and because of how we're raised in society to think one way and believe one way, from parents, church, and society at large. So when you are reading a metaphysical book and you have all that programming, it's like it's hard to connect with what the book is saying. So that's kind of what I went through in my teens and in my 20s and in my 30s, because I always would come back to it. I would come back to it because I just was so drawn to it. And plus, I never resonated with the Christian dogma was teaching. I never resonated with that as true. It's like there's something else out there. This is not ringing true to me. So I did. I was a seeker for many years. Then I came across the film What the Bleep, which is actually a quantum physics film. And in that film, Lynn McTaggart said one sentence that just, I guess if that was a mystical awakening, then that was my mystical awakening. It was one sentence. It was, the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separateness.
That's right.
And then I got it.
Yeah,
just understanding oneness. When I understood oneness, not on an intellectual level, but on a heartfelt level, when I got it, that was the missing piece. Once I understood oneness, I understood everything. Everything made sense. You know, I was like, right. I get it. I get it. And then the first thing I wanted to do is share it with a few close friends that I had, and they looked at me like I had two heads, like I was crazy. It's like they weren't hearing me. And then I got to the point I understood that, you know what, everyone has to come to this in their own way. You know, it's like all I can do is, that's why I said with this show, is I inspire others to awaken to the truth of oneness, because that's all I can do. We're all on our individual, unique path. It's going to look different, but we're all one and we're all the same, but following unique and inspirational paths that we have to come to that understanding. So I guess, like I said, with all my guests, they've had, several of my guests have had Kundalini Awakenings and, can communicate with spirit and just all of that. And so sometimes I'm like, why can't I?
Well, you're on your way. You're on your way, darling. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's bless you. Sorry, I'm interrupting, but
No.
Okay, what my guides say, my dear, is the heart knows what the mind struggles to achieve. And as you said very, very eloquently, and that was a beautiful share, this is the conditioning, the programming that we all live in our heads. And you see crisis or challenge throws us back into the deeper parts of ourself. And you see the spiritual journey really is, thinking with your heart. And so when you have any kind of a focus, a practice, a desire and intent to listen to, trust, and follow your heart, as my guides say, then you will attract, you will find the information and the ideas that begin to, as you said, connect the dots for you. And then you'll see that bigger picture. It's, it's an epiphany, absolutely.
Yes. Well, that like I said, that was in 2007 when I was watching What the Bleep, and I got that epiphany. It was truly an epiphany, because I'm telling, I was like, I get it now. I get it. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's through the heart. I am getting it through the heart, and I am really following spirit. I got up in the middle of the night in January of 2015 and was inspired to start this show, and also inspired to start a nonprofit foundation in my son's memory. I lost my son almost 2 years ago. It was July 1st, 2014.
Yeah.
And I actually got a call yesterday, a very unexpected call, yesterday from the monument company that I made the last payment on his monument. I say monument because I like the word monument. And people will say, what do you mean monument? It's a headstone, okay? To clear it up for everybody. But I've been paying for 2 years on his headstone. And I wanted to it has a picture of him on it. And I made the last payment just this past Friday. And so I was expecting them to email me or call me and contact me and say, okay, we've got your last final payment. We'll schedule something in a couple of weeks. And so they called yesterday and said, okay, it's there. It's, I was like, what? Okay. And they he's like, I'm emailing you a picture now. And so he emails me the picture, and it's a beautiful picture. It's beautiful stone with his picture on it. And so I put it on Facebook, and I plan to go. Actually, I was going to go today, but probably tomorrow I'll go and plant flowers and everything. But I just, it was just like really surprising that I wasn't, I wasn't expecting it so soon, even though he's been gone almost 2 years, and just going to the site now and planting flowers, I kind of felt like I didn't want to go by myself. Yeah. So I asked a few friends, and they had plans, and I say to myself, I always, because this is, I know it's my higher self. Everything that happens in my life, I know it's me. But I wish the fact that you can communicate with your higher self is amazing to me, because that's kind of the big piece for me. I wish I could ask my higher self, why is it 54? You said you're 58, I'm 54. Yeah. Why is it in these 54 years, I mean, I haven't connected with anyone on a physical level. I know I have I know I have my higher self. I know I have tons of spirit guides. I know I have tons of angels surrounding me all the time in spirit. I know I'm spirit, and I know I see the big picture. I truly do. Yeah. And I know that everything that happens, it's me. I'm doing it. Right. My higher self is doing it. But I want to ask my higher self, why? Why? Okay. I can't even find one person to go with me to help plant flowers around my son's memorial. So it's like, I'm like, okay, but it is what it is. And I was crying earlier. I'm going to be completely honest. That's of course you were. Yes, bless you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, sweetheart, you're. Let me just tell you what I hear right now. You're a beautiful being. Yeah, darling, you're a beautiful being, and God bless you. The loss of your son, of course, is heartbreaking and life-changing, and it's a huge, grief is a bitter gift. It's a huge, powerful part of your journey now. And see, this is what has motivated you in part to reach out to the world. So I just want to tell you, keep reaching. You are a teacher, you see, and it's from your beautiful heart. I mean, you know all this intuitively already, but you found, when you got the illusion of separation phrase from Lynn McTaggart, you got something dropped into place for you mentally. But it's like I work with so many people, Carolyn, and, mostly I work with women, of course, and a lot of women have issues around love and all of that. And the message always comes out, the more we love ourselves and the more we follow our passion, the more we meet the people who are really in vibrational alignment with who we are. And, I really get that message for you, my dear friend. Maybe by talking about it today, someone is, I'm sure someone's going to pick up the phone and say, I'd be happy to, if I were on the East Coast, I'd be very honored to help you plant your flowers. I'm sure you would go with me, but you are a little bit too far away. A little bit of a commute. Yes, dear. But as Lynn said, it's an illusion, this separation. So you see, honestly, this is so much, Carolyn, of what Spirit has to teach us and to help us understand. The separation is always an illusion. I mean, I'm sure you feel very connected to your son and very, okay. So, this is the great challenge for all of us. Can we get our humanity in alignment with our divinity, and can we trust our inner guidance and, make that very courageous shift from feeling, unsupported or unseen or even victimized? Can we have forgiveness, compassion, acceptance, and come over to the place of saying, there's a gift for me here. You see, that's the message from Spirit. Whatever the pain or the fear or the struggle is, and I have my own, I promise you, they didn't all dissolve. You see, the journey continues, as the saying goes. But does that make any sense, what I'm saying here? Oh, yes, it does. It does, very much. Okay. Yes, okay. Yes, because I do know I do know on a heartfelt level. I even when I posted the picture of the monument on Facebook yesterday, I posted under, I know that when I'm there at the monument, Kyle is saying, my son's name is Kyle, and he's saying to me, I'm not here. I'm with you all the time, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, this is just a spot where there's a monument for you. But I know you're not there. You're not in the ground, or you know, you are in spirit, and you're with me all the time. So I do know that. And part of the thing I do think that maybe sometimes, because when I say, I only asked a few close friends, and I think part of the time is I seem to be so strong to some people. Several people have said to me, you know, I don't know how you do it. You seem to be, you know, you're handling this, you know, the loss of your son so well. So I think that sometimes people forget I am still human. You know, but I know that all is well. And I know that maybe tomorrow when I go, I'll be by myself, but maybe another time there'll be someone with me, you know. And it's. I know it's all good. I know it's all good, and I know
Carolyn,
that. Yes.
Tomorrow's still a long time away, sweetheart. No, you're okay. Spirit has no problem with tomorrow. We got to stop controlling. You see, we have to stop controlling the agenda. You understand, and give Spirit some breathing room so they can delight us and amaze us. You see, because what I want to say, my dear friend, is by talking about this, of course, God bless you. You know, everyone's heart is open to you in this moment because everyone can relate to everything you're talking about here. Loss and love and loneliness and faith and the struggle of all of that and looking for more support. Believe me, every single person hearing you, of course, can relate to all of it. So all I want to say to all of us, myself included, is be willing to be surprised. Ask for what we want and then get out of the way. You know, allow Spirit to surprise us because it will always do that. This again comes back to grace. It will always do that if we're open to receive it. That's all we're working on here. You let me get away with that. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes. No. Of course. No, I understand. I do. On a heartfelt level, I truly do. It's just I do keep the last words my son said to me was, Mom, I don't want you to wait alone. Those were the last words he said to me. He was going in to open heart surgery. It was a 9-hour surgery. And what he meant, he wanted me to call my brother, who I knew at the time I couldn't call. He was in the air flying to a destination. But my son was going into open heart surgery, and he knew I would be in the waiting room by myself during that surgery. So that's what he said. And I was never able, he didn't die right after the surgery. Actually, quote unquote, the surgery was successful, quote unquote. It was weeks, complications from the surgery weeks later is when he died of. But I never got a chance to talk to him again after that. I did say to him, I said to him at the service that, Kyle, I know I am never alone. I know that I am surrounded by, I know that I, first of all, am spirit. You know, just in, having this temporary illusion of an experience. It's not real. I do know that. And I know, like, first off, I'm spirit, and I'm surrounded by spirit and love. And I am love, and I'm surrounded by love. I do know that at my core. But like I said, I'm still in this human experience, too. So sometimes, this human experience, I wonder, but I also know, like I said, I take ownership of the fact that I'm creating this human experience. And for some reason, I'm creating this experience the way it is. Like, at the moment,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
I do always try to stay open in each and every moment to what Spirit is going to surprise me. I love surprises.
Yeah.
Some people don't, but I do.
Sure.
I love surprises, and I love being spontaneous. You know, not doing something that wasn't planned. Because, like you said, exactly like you said, about letting Spirit lead the way.
Yeah. So wonderful. You open your mind. We open our minds. We quiet our minds. We open our hearts, and we come back to Spirit. And as we come back to Spirit, we allow ourselves to surrender to peace. And as we sustain that peace, then healing and inspiration and transformation takes place. And when we come back to the mind from that journey, from that inner surrender process, we're always refreshed and renewed. And this is really the clearest way I can say how to stay as connected to your higher self as possible. I'm working, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm working on a book, and it's called, of my guides, and it's called The Invitation. And the message is, because we have free will, Spirit never imposes itself upon us, but must wait for us to align to the vibration of peace and love in order for Spirit to be able to really interact with us. So when we go through drama and trauma and grief and sorrow and loss, that's no fun. That's not easy. That's some hard work. But all of that, as you said, within all of that, there is this gift. It may sound cliched to say it, but it is absolutely true. It's a gift that we're trying to receive, that without that loss or that pain, we haven't found the permission in ourselves to allow ourselves to believe that yet. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yes.
All right. So like my prayer is every day, you know, Mother God, use me, use Carolyn, use the people on this call for your divine and joyous purpose. We surrender all. We surrender our illusions. We surrender our fears and doubts and worries and concerns. We bless ourselves, those that we love, both here and in spirit. And we know that something wonderful is on its way to us, and we give thanks, knowing that it's so, and we let it be, and so it is.
Yes, so true. So true.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the journey right there. 5 steps. Affirmative prayer. Yeah.
And that is so true. I mean, I do believe that so much from my heart. I know, I believe that we do have our soul plan before we come into this incarnation. I believe it was a plan that Kyle and I had to go through what we went through together. That's why I'm starting the foundation in his memory. And Kyle stands for, he actually told me before he was born, he told me what to name him. I didn't know what to name him. A few weeks before his birth, he told me to name him Kyle. So he told me that in a dream. I had to name a dream, you know. And Kyle is not a name I was familiar with, but I was like, okay. And now I'm using that name for the foundation. The Kyle Foundation. Kyle stands for Keep Your Light Expanding. That's what Kyle stands for.
Wonderful.
And I know that was all orchestrated in spirit, you know, before this incarnation. So I do know. I know that we, you know, that there is no death. There's no such thing as death. All there is eternal life. And now Kyle is in spirit, so he's everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's, you know, he can be with me. He can be with his friends. He can be with his sister. all at once. And still, and I believe something tells me he's already come back. And people that kind of don't understand this, the omnipresence when you're in spirit, they ask me, well, if he's back, how is he still with you? He is. It's like it's hard to explain that to them. That it's like it's not one or the other. It's both. He's He's still in spirit with me.
Yeah.
And I believe, because a friend of his had a dream that she dreamt that he was a baby. So I believe that he has already reincarnated, but he is still with me.
Well, love never dies, and who we love is with us forever. And this, to me, our spiritual awakening on this planet is happening right now because this is the time of the heart. And it's the time of the Christ consciousness. It's the time of the divine feminine and masculine. It's the time of spiritual rebirth. But we can't. Here's the difference. When we have our mystical healing moments, we have our transcendent experiences, we have our synchronicities, we experience God's will through our life in grace and miracles. It's because we're out of the way. We're not angry, we're not upset, we're not frustrated, we're not lonely, we're not fearful, we're available, we're receptive. And you see, again, bless you, this is the great heroic journey that every one of us signed up to experience. My guides say, you've created a dream that's so real, you've forgotten that you've created it, and you've forgotten that it's a dream. And the way that we wake up from the dream, you see, the mind is like a computer. It will think anything for any reason. And we all have a mind and a body, but we are our soul and spirit. And so, when you work with your heart, through making a journey back into love and peace and joy and appreciation and gratitude, then you begin to build this facility for trusting yourself more deeply. And that's when you become this clear and open channel for spirit as you are and are becoming. And you see, then you're in a different paradigm, Carolyn. You're not having to explain or to justify or rationalize yourself or talk yourself into anything. You're just knowing and you're trusting what you know. But, this is the journey we have to make every day, is to turn off the busy little mind and listen to the very silent and powerful and beautiful heart and surrender to that.
Yes, so true. So true.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I do. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I do.
You're welcome.
I do try to spend much of the day. I mean, a good portion of the day just silently sitting and connecting with my higher self and spirit. Because I do. For me, that's the most important thing. Being in connection with my higher self, with my spirit, and because I know that everything around me, the quote-unquote physical, is nothing but an illusion. I love the fact that when I was in 7th grade, my 7th grade science teacher, we were studying molecules and atoms. Yeah. And my 7th grade science teacher told me, and this stuck with me, there's nothing truly solid. And that was my spirit started jumping up and down. Finally, they're teaching you something in school that is true. That nothing. Yes, nothing is truly solid. So science has proven that this is an illusion, that this is not real, this is not solid. So the spirit aspect is what's real. That's what's real, and that's what I do spend the majority of my waking time focused on. Is really connecting with spirit. Now, divine. You mentioned love, and I titled this show "Divine Love" with Lou Martin. So you please tell our listeners what divine love. Tell our listeners what divine love really is.
Yeah, well, we're nearly there. You see, it's great. It's perfect. You're getting good inspiration to ask these questions. Truly, divine love is unconditional. And that's an easy thing to hear and a very powerful and profound thing to begin to believe. And it's the way my guides put it is in this way. There's steps in opening ourselves up to being available to love, and then to unconditional love or divine love. The first step is vulnerability. And even before that, we have to feel safe. So let's say safety, I'm safe, loved, and supported, okay. Then I move into vulnerability. I go a little bit deeper, and I might tell you my hopes and my fears and my deep feelings. And then when I feel safe in my vulnerability, in my relationship with you or with God, then there begins to be a level of intimacy. And that intimacy is that we're close and tender with each other, and we feel deeply safe with each other, and we start to really open our hearts to each other. And then beneath that intimacy, safety, and vulnerability, then we can give and receive love. And then when we're able to give and receive love with conditions, we start to be able to remember what unconditional love feels like, and what it might be like. But basically there's, everyone talks about surrender. And, this has been such a deep part of my journey all of this time and every day, really. When you're talking about the paradox between the physical and the metaphysical, or the inner and the outer, this is exactly it. My guides say, like, life is almost a journey between control and trust over and over again. Okay, so when we're surrendering to safety, vulnerability, intimacy, conditional love, deeper, then that grace will find its way into our life, because that's who we are, as you said. But that is what the mystical journey really is can I get so deeply and profoundly out of my own way that I come back into alignment with who I really am. And that can be like a skill that you practice every day. That, again, it doesn't necessarily happen every single time, but you start to learn, the more I move in the direction of love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, opening my heart, trusting, listening, going within, peace and love, etc., the more that energy will pull me into alignment with it. And then when I come back out, I'm like, I'm different. I know I see the outer world, but it doesn't own me. It doesn't control me. I'm not afraid of it.
Right. Very true. Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You touched upon that, the vulnerability, and I feel that's what I'm kind of expressing with this show is I'm an open book. I'm just opening myself to the world, because there's nothing to hide, and I know I'm connected. I'm connected to everyone on the planet, so I know that I have over 7 billion brothers and sisters. So I'm just opening myself up, and I have no fear in doing that.
Wonderful.
And so that's
more power to you.
That's very true with divine love, is that unconditional opening up of the heart, unconditional.
Well, can I bring another subject into the conversation here?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So for me, honestly, I love what you're saying, and I aspire to that level of transparency and freedom that you're expressing so beautifully. And the next part of that for me is about self acceptance and self-love and self-forgiveness. And what I keep seeing in my own work and in my own journey and with my clients and all is that part of the illusion of the ego, like my guides say, the ego is almost like a spell that we've cast over our own consciousness. And, we have, as you say, this illusion of separation that we all think is real, and we operate out of that's what is real. But what I see is that we're all taught as good Westerners basically to forgive others and to have compassion and kindness for others when they've injured us, when they've made a mistake, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's very common for most of us. But what is missing is the self-forgiveness. And what I've learned recently is that when I forgive myself, like, are you familiar with Ho'oponopono?
Yes, I just watched his interview with him 2 days ago.
Okay. Yes. Well, there we go. See, that we get a lot of help here for all of us. Thank God. Okay. So that's. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. These 4 heart-opening statements that Dr. Hugh Len teaches and practiced to help a ward full of criminally insane mental patients fully recover in 3 years without ever talking with them or meeting with them, just by looking at their photo and saying these 4 statements of love. So, and I see this in my life and with my clients as well. When we forgive ourselves, then the world around us begins to soften and become safer, and the people, the relationships in our life also begin to powerfully change and become much more loving. So, I just definitely want to bring that to this conversation here today, that self-forgiveness is this daily process of coming back to being gentle. Like, to answer your earlier question, my dear friend, your heart might be saying about, why can't I find anyone to go with me to my son's memorial, his monument. There probably are things, from the past, unconscious or conscious, where you might feel like, well, why didn't I this and why didn't I that? And, I'm just generalizing here, forgive me. But in my life, that's what I've seen is like, okay, I could change my mind about this. I could let go of this regret or mistake or fearful self-doubt or self-judgment. And when I do that, voila, suddenly grace shows up again. And it's like, well, thank you, Lou. You're getting with the program now, you see.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
I understand. Yes.
Yeah. So my guides say no one needs to know you're forgiving yourself. Yeah, and when we do that, you see, here's the other part of it, Carolyn. This will actually make more sense. What I find, and you may find this as well, is that we're all so hard on ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you. And you see, to give and receive love, to be loved for who we really are, we need to be the first person who loves ourselves.
True.
And thank you. You see, this is the depth of the journey that we're all making in this life. It's really profound, And when we work with unconditional love, divine love, we, that does not judge us, that does not criticize us, that does not reject us, we have this opening of compassion and acceptance. And then, truly, we see that we can be very good to ourselves, and life will absolutely change for the better very, very quickly.
Very true. That's true.
Thank you. I get a lot of help, Carolyn. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I think of divine love too, I think of an unconditional love. I always think it starts from within, meaning self-love. Meaning, first of all, we are love. We are made from love, of love, and that's what the essence of us is, love. And when we understand that, we are love, and all the love, the outer world is just a mirror. It's just a reflection. So the love comes from within that reflects back to us. So that's I agree with you 100%. It's a matter of self-love. And again, even when I had made that statement earlier of that I couldn't find someone to go with me, it wasn't it wasn't a judgmental meaning, oh, I'm so upset that why can't they see? I just it wasn't like, oh, I'm judging them, oh, how can they call them my friend and they won't even do it. Wasn't that. It's I know in my heart that everybody on the planet is doing the best they can and walking their walk, and they're all divine. So I know that. My question, though, my question was to my higher self, not to not judging others, but my higher self was like, okay, I tend to create the situation. I'm creating it, and I tend to create this situation a lot in my life, and so I don't know why. I don't know why.
Right. Well, sweetie, I think you're about to change your mind about this with with God's help here, because you see, it's what you said about everyone says how strong you are, which of course that's true. And God bless you. You've just been through one of the hardest challenges that any human being can face, the loss of your son in that way. So, you said, okay, I know my soul has a destiny for me, a plan for me, and Kyle and I created this together. And so I just want to say, darling, from my heart to yours, so that you could be this beautiful, transparent being who is wearing your heart on your sleeve and sharing your journey with the world. And so the rest of us will open our hearts in love and compassion, with you and for you and say, yes, we want you to be supported. And so I'm just saying that sometimes our greatest strength is our vulnerability, do you see, and willingness to ask for more support, more help, more healing.
Yes, so true.
Okay.
So
yeah.
true.
So
true.
so you see, as we can forgive ourselves for whatever doubts or judgments or fears or hurts we're holding on, we're holding on to, then God of course takes that from us. My guides say, we can only take from you those things that you're willing to release.
Okay.
You see, if I'm over here heartbroken or angry, and my guides are saying, "How are you, Lou?" and I say, "I'm fine," they say, "Okay, you're fine." Great. But if I say, "Spirit, I'm heartbroken and angry. I need somebody to come with me so I can put flowers on the grave of my son," Spirit says, "Well, thank you very much. Here you go. Thanks for asking." You see?
I'm laughing because exactly that kind of happened like an hour ago. A dear friend of mine called me, and she said, "How are you?" And I'm crying, but I'm not wanting her to let her know I'm crying.
Right, darling.
So
I hear you.
I say, "I'm fine."
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
and this is one of the people I asked to go with me, and she's like, she didn't say no. She said she has to see, and it wasn't so it wasn't an outright no, but it was like, but exactly what you said. I didn't say, well, I said I would like company. I didn't say I don't want to go alone. I said, well, I would like some company, and so that was my way of trying to ask for help. Yeah,
right.
that was the best way I could muster up asking for help.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but you see, you get my message, I think. That
yes, I do. I got your message.
Okay, you can forgive yourself for pretending something that isn't true and bless yourself, and then give your friend and life and God permission to love and support you the way you truly want to receive the love and support that you need.
Yes. So
okay.
True.
This is, my dear friend, you're a shining star to us all with your honesty about all of this. This is called, God, I just had it here. Well, it's certainly transcendent. This is called humility. And you see, Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Jesus and a few other very important figures in our story here, they all said, look, folks, if you want to be powerful, you've got to be humble, because where does all power come from but from God? So if you get the picture. We're all cleaning the lens of our self-image and how we are supposed to do things or how we are inspired to do things. When we're in our truth, we're in our power, because what can we trust more than our deepest truth? You see, and when you're vulnerable and intimate and loving, and you're in your truth, then mountains will move. Like I think you just moved a little mountain there, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So, well, I definitely feel much lighter and lifted.
There you go.
I know that I had to go back to the now, and I was like earlier. I was I didn't want to do the what ifs when my son passed. I was at peace, and I knew that it was a soul plan, and I knew that he is still with me. There's no such thing as death. So these are the things, and I know I'm always supported. I'm always loved. So these are the things I kept at the forefront of my mind. I didn't want to go through in my mind, well, what if we did that? What if we did this? I didn't want to do those what if. And I kind of did that a little bit this morning, though. I did but because before he had the surgery, he didn't really talk to me about it. He was adult. He was 29, so he had the medical decisions were in his hands. And one time 3 years before he passed, 3 years before he made his transition, he did kind of trust me for his medical health decisions, and I'm completely holistic. So his doctors wanted to try something invasive, and I said no, and he followed my health advice. That was the first and only time. And then a few weeks after that, he got pneumonia, something totally just not related to what the doctors were wanting to do at the time, because it was with his heart. But a few weeks after that, he got pneumonia and almost died from pneumonia. And so it was like he didn't die. We both experienced the miracle. Doctors told me he was going to die. This was in 2011. He didn't die. We experienced the miracle, and all was well. But I think because the one time he did follow my advice to try a more holistic approach to his health care, and then a few weeks later he got ill with pneumonia and almost died. He didn't take my advice anymore. It was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the doctors. I'm not listening. So that's what I was thinking this morning. So I was, I was just going through the what ifs again. What if, we
but
just.
See, I know, I hear you. I do, honestly, darling. But see, that's you judging yourself. Okay, and I'm saying there's no peace there. And I'll quote my guides again. Until you find peace, you haven't come to the truth about a subject. Peace is not only the absence of conflict, but it's the presence of infinite possibilities. And see, the mind, it's like a hungry ghost. And it keeps thinking and figuring and struggling and arguing and looking and searching, and there's no peace there.
Right.
You get the picture? So what we forgive, we release. What we accept, we allow. Peace is coming back to God. God is not having an argument.
Right.
Okay. God is today the same today, tomorrow, and forever. But until we can come to that divine love, you see, with a peaceful mind, until we've accepted what has happened and made our own peace with it, we're still judging ourselves. And you see, that's what the ego lives for.
Yes.
Okay. It's all about guilt and blame.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's true.
Which is different than responsibility. You see, spirituality is where responsibility is our connection back to our higher self. Our higher self says, you can change your mind, you can decide again, you can begin again, you can forgive yourself. But the mind says, no, I'm powerless. No, I made a mistake in the past. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm bad. Maybe I'm not good enough. And all of that moves us out of the vibration of our higher self.
Right.
Do you get the picture?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You'll get it. You're getting it. You're there.
Yes.
It's just, like Abraham teaches, it's paying close attention to the thoughts that we're thinking and how they are making us feel. You see?
Yes.
Divine love, good feelings, love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, everything that feels good is basically God's will for us, and everything that feels bad is basically our resistance to that, or our denial of that, or our judgment of that.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. Thank you. And forgiveness is the bridge to get from one side of the fence back to the other side. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. So true. So true. And I always say I call it my internal GPS. My your emotions, that spirit communicating. So if it feels guilt, or if it feels sad, or if anything that feels uncomfortable, is spirit telling you your mind is doing it again. Your mind is taking your mind is taking control, and your what those thoughts in your mind are not right. They're not good, and they're not right. They're not true. And
that's right.
That's
the word. They're not true.
They're not true.
And if it's not true, then we're losing we're giving our power away by believing something that's not true.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Are you following the Bernie Sanders campaign and this wave of truth and?
It's so funny. You should ask me that, because I have most of my listeners, if they're new listeners, all know I have not watched news since 2001.
Right.
I have no idea what's going on in the news. I think isn't he running for president? Honestly, I have to ask that with a question mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but it's more than that. He says, he's doing something radical in the history of American politics, which is he's telling the truth. And Cornel West, do you know Cornel West? Do you know Brother Cornel out there? Well, he's amazing. He's a beautiful black scholar and spiritual inspiration to many people, myself included. And he says this man is not for sale, and that's true also. So, I mean, the Bernie Sanders campaign is one of like a half dozen different things that are happening all over the planet right now that are shifting, that are riding this wave of increased truth and honesty and integrity and responsibility for the planet. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty amazing.
Okay. Well, then I have to look him up because I always say to people, Bernie, I will look him up.
Check him out.
Sanders. Because what I say, I stopped watching. My spirit told me it was 2 weeks after 9/11. There was nothing on but news. And my spirit, I heard it loud and clear. Say, turn it off. And it was talking about the news. So turn it off and don't ever turn it back on. And that was September of 2001. And I was very obedient. I have not turned back on news since. But news does come to me. And when it comes to me, if something interesting comes my way, I look it up. I'll find out more about it. But okay. Now, is he Republican or Democrat?
He's running as a Democrat. He's been an independent for about 40 years.
Okay. Oh, he was independent, and now he's a Democrat. Okay.
Yeah, and
so
basically.
Go ahead. So it's him and Hillary.
Yes.
The two of them. Okay.
Yes, but I don't want to get lost in the politics too much. I just want to say I see him and people's response to what he's speaking about and what he's striving to bring to the consciousness of America, part of this global conversation. There are truly all these amazing things happening politically and socially around the planet that tell me that we're really living in a very, very powerful moment here of awakening for many, many people.
Yes, I do believe that. I do believe that. Even like with my show, I'm finding new people, new guests to invite on. That there's so much. I mean, it's an endless list of guests that will come onto this show because of the awakening. There's just so much that is going on in science and in spirituality, and I definitely see it. I see it all over. Even what was in December, I don't watch news, but I was at a friend's house, and a neighbor's house, and she had on the television, and it came in with President Obama was addressing the world, or the United States, whatever, and I was making cookies in her kitchen, and I was listening, and he was talking about green energy for the world, not just the United States. And I said, this is something I'm interested in. And so I listened to the news broadcast. So I was like, okay. And to me, that was like, wow, I don't watch news, but I go visit my neighbor to bake some cookies, and President Obama is talking about green energy for globally, for the world. I'm like, okay, I am seeing the shift in mainstream media. So yes, I do see it.
Good. Let me can I read you a quote from my writing here, from my guides for a second?
Of course. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so all fear is resistance to the peace and love that is your true nature. Right now in the unconscious, whatever has not been forgiven or made peace with, you have to confront in your outer world. You have now the clarity and the willingness to love your unhealed self. In the past, these conditions and situations would have pulled you out of yourself, out of your center for weeks or longer. Now, in a single day, you say, I must do something. We are taking you on a journey through your unconscious back into your spirit. As you become willing to forgive yourselves, there is no fear or judgment now that can stop you from total surrender. When that is true, you return to yourself and you can release what is not yours. That is the essence of the inner journey. Now you have your power back.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Sure.
so much for sharing that. That
Sure.
was so beautiful. That's amazing. That is so true. So true.
Thank you.
That is so true that I've recognized that in my journey, that now I'm, like I said, I'm still human, so I do get those moments, but they don't last long. They don't last long at all. I mean, they used to last, like you said, maybe weeks at a time, but they don't last long, and it's true. That means there's still some work to be done in the outer world. There's still some clearing to be done.
Yeah.
There's still something that needs to be worked on. Very true.
My guides say, thank you. My guides say, don't focus on getting finished. Focus on feeling better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you see, the ego says, well, that's still there and that's still there, and will that ever be done? And as you say, it's, the contrast is a gift in disguise, which when we work with our spiritual and emotional resources, we find the gift, to see things differently or see ourselves differently, or to love or to heal or to forgive or to accept. And that inner movement, that then creates a shift in what's, you're speaking about the world being a holographic projection in what is possible for us to manifest as our experience.
Yes.
The inner is always more powerful than the outer. But as you said, we come from thousands of years of conditioning of being in the mind and projecting the mind out into the world and saying only this little spectrum of possibility is what's real, and within that, only this is what's possible for me, and within that, it keeps getting smaller and smaller. But again, either global crisis or personal crisis, invites us or challenges us or forces us to find some way to transcend the illusions of separation and the limits that we've taken to, that we've given our power to. And Spirit helps us to take our power back from those illusions. That's its purpose.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
So true.
Thank you.
So true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lou, so much. Can you share with our listeners how to find you, and if there's any events that you're coming up? I know you travel globally. I'm not sure when you're going to be in the States again, but can you share how our listeners can find more about you and connect with you?
Sure. Well, I'm not doing much traveling now. I've been in Ireland for the last 8 years. So I'm just sort of tucked in over here at the moment, but that may change someday soon. But my website is universalcorewellness.com or loumartin.eu. Either of those will work. Yeah, and I do one-on-one sessions via Skype, and I do groups by Skype as well. And you can find me on Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, all of those places.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Lou, so much. I am so thankful, and you've been wonderful for me, and I know by you helping to transform me in this past hour, it also touched so many other people, because we opened this conversation up to the world, so now anyone, any place can hear this, and can, at that same way you transformed me in this past hour, you could also transform others that are listening to this broadcast, which is
Thank you,
great.
Yeah,
Thank you
pleasure.
so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Karen.
And we will keep in touch via email. Okay,
Wonderful. All right. God bless you. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day. Love you.
Okay. Peace. Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Blog Talk Radio.